This is the Kingdom Wealth Group. We are Kingdom citizens. We are Kingdom, living in Kingdom wealth. This is the Kingdom.
Welcome to the Kingdom Wealth Group training on tree placement strategy. First, we want to say congratulations on working hard after you've joined the business and obtaining new business partners. You're here because you want to learn how to place them strategically on your tree, or maybe you want to learn a little bit about enrollment. There is an enrollment presentation that is separate from this. Nevertheless, we're glad that you joined us this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, whether you're in the United States or one of our international brand partners. It is our good pleasure to teach you how to place people on your tree so that we can get you started effectively building your business. First things first, before enrolling someone and placing them on your tree, there are a few things that you'll want to consider, some things you'll need to think about as you're deciding how to build out your business. When building out your business, it's important that you understand what not to do up front to avoid certain pitfalls. Having a clear sense of who you are enrolling will greatly impact the success of your business. First, we discourage what we call voluntary placements. This is when you, as a business partner, place someone into the Partner Co system that may not have any foreknowledge of your doing so. Instead, what we encourage, if you think that someone would be benefited by joining our team, bring them to a Zoom. We have a few that are happening throughout the day, most days of the week, to accommodate a variety of schedules. Helping them learn about the business before you sign them up can not only be a better strategy for yourself in building out your tree, but it also avoids the pitfalls that you'll face and how this impacts your upline when we place people in the system who are inactive. Second, we don't want to enroll potential customers as business partners. This happens all the time. People share about the business, and there are people that say, "I would love to support you as a regular customer." Mistakenly, the brand partner assumes that they should enter them into the system as a brand partner. However, through Partner Co., there is a way to enter them in the system as a recurring customer. Should you need some support with that, please contact your sponsor or contact me directly for that information. Another thing we strongly discourage when you're trying to build your business is making promises for enrollments. We don't guarantee that people are going to make a certain amount of money. However, we do provide information and statistics if that's something that you need in order to help them consider their decision. We want to make sure that when we invite people to come in as brand partners, we're open, we're honest, and that we're realistic. Another thing not to do is beg. Now, this might seem a little comical, but what we don't want is for you as a brand partner to be afraid of rejection. We're sitting on what we consider a gold mine. What is that gold mine? Products that we can believe in, products that are revolutionizing the way we consider healthcare, and products that are so premium they speak for themselves. So we never want to feel a level of intensity around getting brand partners to enroll. This can be fairly new for you as a brand partner, and maybe you don't come into this with prior sales experience. That's okay. There will be many presentations that will show you how to market effectively, that will show you how to recruit effectively, so that you don't have to have the intensity around bringing in new brand partners. Another thing we'd like for you to reconsider is enrolling people who don't have your same mindset or business acumen. When you're building a brand, it's important that you have brand partners that understand what it is you're trying to build, that have their own vision, their own goals, and their own dreams. We want to make sure that those who enroll have the same tenacity, the same enthusiasm, and the same excitement around building a business. So as you're making your list of those that you want to speak to, as you're talking to them, gauge where they really stand. Pay attention to signals, signs, facial expressions, wording. You may also want to consider bringing them to one of our informational Zooms because we may be able to close in a way that you can't. Nevertheless, we're here to support you no matter what they decide. Before you start to place brand partners on your tree, there's a few things you'll want to consider. Some of this will be revisited in some future slides. But for now, we want you to consider what your personal goals are and who best will help you get there. Optimization is an important goal we'll talk about in just a few moments, but you've also got to decide what you want your income to be. Are they builders or recruiters? Are they people who are better in retail? These are the things that will be helpful to know, among other things, such as their work ethic, the energy, and the time that they have to put into building a business. What training will they need, and how best do they grasp information? Monitoring your power and pay lines will also be helpful as you consider where to place new brand partners. For purposes of this video, we won't be getting too extensively into what power lines and pay lines are. However, there are regular trainings that are happening on this throughout the weeks. If you have the Partner Code Share app, it will be important for you to pay attention to the announcements as they do announce these trainings quite regularly. If you need additional assistance, reaching out to your sponsor will be helpful, and they'll make sure that they connect you with your compensation structure so that you'll get this explanation. For purposes of this video, we'll be talking about how you're building out your power line and pay line in a little bit more of a simplistic form. To help you remember how these work, you'll always be paid through Partner Code on your shortest line. So you'll be building and working toward what we call optimization. We'll speak about that in just a few moments. But as you're considering how you're placing people, here's a few key things that you'll want to remember. First, we want to encourage you to go for the gold. Again, this is discussed in our compensation presentation. And if you don't have it, it's going to be in the Partner Code Share app, or you can reach out to your sponsor to obtain it. But going for the gold in simplistic form opens up more income positions, or what we call additional pay lines and reentries. We'll get to that in just a second. But as you're thinking about where you're placing the person, you want to be looking at how close you are to optimization. You also want to consider the certain amount of money that you'd like to be making per week and working toward that. Remember, through Partner Code, we get paid every Friday. And so as you go for the goal, you're unlocking a variety of benefits that will allow you to be paid not only commissions, but in a variety of other ways that are happening in addition to all the hard work that you're doing every single week. You have to ask yourself about who the person is. Are they better at sales or recruiting, or are they a rock star at both? This will help you determine what your goals are and where to place them. I'll give you a brief example. However, what I'm saying is not necessarily guaranteed. If a person is better at retail sales, but not so much in wanting to build out teams, they may be better placed in your power line. That will provide the stabilization that you need. Whether they are on auto ship, which helps to stabilize your volume every month. And if they're great at retails, that's going to add point volume that can help you optimize and keep it sturdy. However, there's nothing wrong with putting a person who is strong in retail in your pay line. It's strictly up to you to decide. A person that's great at recruiting and motivating others toward activation can also be a great stabilizing force for your pay line. Not only will you see the results in the checks that you're receiving every week, but you're going to see the rockstar results of building out your team. However, there is another thing to consider, and that's whether or not a person is such a rock star that they can flip your line. Remember, it's all about getting toward that optimization. So let's say you enroll a brand partner and they're phenomenal at recruiting, which is what we want. And you place them in your pay line because right now that's your shortest line. However, if they're a rock star and they recruit 10 to 20 people and they get those people activated, that can easily flip your line to where your pay line, now becomes your power line. So you just want to make sure that you understand who they are, how they're going to work, and you're considering where you're placing them. Again, even if you place a rock star and they flip your line, it can always be flipped back. Don't worry, okay? I want you to just consider a few things so when you're placing them, you'll have a good sense of what it is you're trying to do. Maybe you're placing a person in support of another brand partner through where you place them. Again, as we do a back office training and talk about tree placement a little more and dig into the science of this and a few other extra strategies, this will make sense later on. But for now, let's say you want to help a brand partner that you've placed by strategically placing a person that you believe is going to build underneath them. There's a couple of things that you have to consider. First, you want to make sure that they are as active in the business as you are. You don't want to place someone under someone and the person above them isn't doing any work. People don't necessarily benefit, and the way that Partner Co is structured is we benefit from the people who are above us. So if you're going to help someone, whether it is in purchasing product through their brand ID to help them activate or earn volume, or if you're going to help them by placing a worker underneath them, just make sure that they're doing the same amount of work. If you're interested in starting a new market, we'll address this in a future slide, but this will also be something you'll need to consider when you're thinking about placement. Mostly, you want to ensure that everyone you enroll has the necessary training that they need to understand the business, to understand the benefits, and how much Partner Co rewards its brand partners. So here is another visual that builds out for you what your income positions look like in your back office. Remember, with Partner Co, you can build infinitely wide and infinitely deep. I hate to be repetitive here, but if you haven't seen the compensation overview, you'll want to obtain that from your sponsor or from your back office, as this is pretty well explained. But for now, when you're thinking about placement, and we talked about optimization, a word that you heard me say previously, I want you to see the visual of what that looks like. Imagine that that's you at the top, and just under it, you see two people underneath you and two people underneath them. As you're building out teams and you're wanting to obtain the benefits of optimization, you'll want to get to a certain number of points. In the United States, those number of points are 13,334 for both lines. For example, in Nigeria, that number is 20,000 points, and it may differ depending on what country you're in. Remember, you get paid on the shortest line. So even though on this visual, they both are at 13,334, your stabilizing or your power line will need to be a few more points so that you'll get paid out on your pay line. Remember, it has to be fewer points. At this rate, you're getting $2,000 per week if you're in the United States. That number changes across countries. Now, you may be wondering, what of this pay line and what of this re-entry income position? We'll discuss that in the next slide. Let's look at our previous graphic one more time. First, let me say that it's going to be really important that you focus on optimizing your first two lines. This stabilizes you in the business, and there are a host of other benefits and bonuses that come with doing so. However, we do get asked about pay lines and re-entry positions. Depending on the business level that you have locked in for a lifetime, you may see some additional pay lines circled in the red extending out to the right. For example, if you've gone gold, you're going to see up to 5. Don't worry, if you don't see that, it may not have come with your business package, but there are still ways to obtain these extra pay lines and re-entry positions infinitely. It just requires that you optimize your first lines, okay? In the United States, that number for optimization is 13,334 for both lines, as we previously discussed. There are questions, though, that come to us about when to use the new pay line. Am I obligated to wait until I optimize in order to start a new one? That is entirely up to you, and we'll discuss that a little more in the next slide. The same is asked for when do we get a re-entry income position. When you optimize, you automatically get a new re-entry income position and a new pay line. For now, I think that's about as advanced as we want to get. So when might it make sense to start a new pay line? Again, that's totally up to you. But there are a few things that we want you to consider before you do. First, it's recommended that prior to doing so, speak with a sponsor or speak with someone experienced in your upline before you make that decision. However, should you want to start a new pay line prior to being optimized, there may be some clear reasons why. Using myself as an example, I have business partners that are in South Africa. I could have chosen to put them in my current pay line toward optimization, but for me, I've decided to keep those markets separate. I also have the faith and the confidence in that market that it will grow, no matter how much time it takes. So I'm going to be partnering with my brand partners there to ensure their success. There may be another reason why you might want to start a new pay line. Maybe you're working with a church denomination or a business that has decided to partner with you. There are going to be a host of variables as to why you might want to do that. Again, you are highly encouraged to optimize first for a few reasons. You'll need to be confident that before starting a pay line, that strategy is actually going to work. Again, there are presentations on Powerline versus Payline that get into this more extensively. But you want to be confident that this market will benefit you. Also, you want to make sure, as a great team leader, that as you're building out your team and asking those under you to continue to duplicate your process, do they need assistance? Because remember, as you're continuing to build in that first line, everybody's benefiting from the volume. Everybody that's under someone is benefiting from what's done above them. And so if you continue to build downward, which is where you might want to use what we called earlier, that green circle, the reentry position, you can still be able to help a lot of those that are already on your team. So that's something you might want to consider. And again, this will be more explained in a more strategic presentation about power lines versus pay lines. Your sponsors are always available to have these discussions to make sure that you make the best decision possible. Because we're often asked this up front and it is a little bit more advanced, we wanted to at least touch on it here. So if something about it is still confusing, feel free to ask us questions and feel free to attend one of those upcoming presentations. We just wanted to give you a brief overview, allow you to see it, and just get some ideas about how the reentries work and when you might want to start a new pay line prior to optimization. More helpful than your general PowerPoint presentation is going to be a visual, which we'll have here in just a few seconds. Prior to sharing this visual with you, showing you how to walk through and placement in the back office, we want to remind you that we're here to help you every step of the way. Before we release you into doing this on your own, as your team leads and your sponsors, we're going to make sure that you understand exactly how this works, and we're going to be here every step of the way because we're in this together. So don't worry, whatever you need, we're here for you. Enjoy the visual presentation. BP here, Rain, to talk to you a little bit today about just the simplicity of placing a new enrollment on your tree. Now, when we're enrolling brand partners, we do want to be a little bit strategic. We know that we have to build a power line and we know that we have to be a pay line. Now, there's a science to this. There are so many different strategies, and depending on what you want to do, this may require a little bit of differences and nuances, but don't worry, there will be more extensive training on power lines, pay lines, optimization, and how to place people on your tree. For now, we're going to keep it simple. So I've already logged into my account. And before we get into tree placement, I'm going to navigate here to enrolling a new person because some of the things I'll be talking about, you'll need that information. So as I click on enroll a new partner, it's going to pull up this page and you'll see that my brand ID is here. Now, if I were enrolling someone under a different brand partner, maybe as a favor to a friend, I would obviously select this and enter their brand partner information. However, let's just say this is for me for now. We're going to go ahead and click sign me up. It's going to navigate your new enrollee, or you if you're doing it for them, to this particular page. Now, they have the option of purchasing packages up front, or they can continue without products. They can also go a la carte. But for now, let's continue without products. So as we navigate, now we come into the page where we must enter them, or they may be entering themselves as a new brand partner. For purposes of this tutorial, we're going to say that you're doing this for them. Now, there is a default here, and here in our system, this automatically is going to default because I'm looking at me to the very last person that I enrolled on my pay line. However, I know that this is in an income position that I don't want. You might not know that. And a person enrolling on their own might not know that either. Another trick here is to go, let's skip over graphic tree for now, is to go manual. If someone were enrolling, you'd have to provide them with the ID, the name, the income position, and the line number that they would need to enroll themselves. Just a quick tip. But for now, this is going to be about you or myself enrolling somebody. So you can see in your back office a tree view here. I'm not going to open it because there's some personal information that I don't want to share, but I do have one already open that I'm going to navigate to. But first, let's look at the tree view. When you're wanting to place someone in your back office, it's going to be really important that you change this from only occupied lines, which is going to be the default, to all lines. This is going to allow you to see every single position that a person can be placed in on your screen. Also, you want to change this number. It defaults to 5. You can go 50 or even 500. It's totally up to you, depending on how small or large your tree is. I recommend placing that at a highest number so that you can see your placement tree down to its very end. And then you're going to connect Show Tree View. Now, I already have a tree open, and I have permission from one of my brand partners to use his tree as an example. So we're not sharing any personal information here, guys. What I'm looking at is he has gone gold. So as you can see, he's got several income positions available. He's got another position here, 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 and here. This one's already occupied. He's enrolling a new brand partner. If we were to go to default, then that computer is going to place that person probably somewhere he doesn't want because it's going to look for that next available position. So this is why we showed you at the enrollment stage why you don't necessarily want to click on default. If you had selected the tree, it's going to bring you right to this tree. So when I showed you the manual version, that person would have to have all this information. If you're enrolling them, you avoid having to give that out, and you can just navigate to where you want this person to go. I know that line 2 is his pay line. Again, we're working with pay lines and power lines. For purposes of this tutorial, he wants them on his pay line. So he's going to have to follow this line 2 because line 2 is his pay line. The difference, the power line is going to be your longest line. The pay line is going to be your shortest. You're always going to get paid through Partner Co. on your shortest line. That's the easiest way to remember either one. So this is his shortest line, and we're going to navigate down line 2. He's a great example because he's got a lot of enrollees, and there's some things I want to point out. So as you can see, he has enrolled Micah Broomfield. However, Micah has now enrolled Henry. But notice we're still running down Dominic's line 2 pay line. So even though he did not enroll Henry, Micah is going to get the commissions because this is his first generation enrollment. But the way Partner Co sets the system up, Dominic is still going to benefit from whatever Henry does. One, because he's gold, there are a lot of bonuses, and he's going to impact his volume. So if I were to click on this, which unfortunately I cannot because his private information will come up, you would see that even though he's on Dominic's line 2, Micah Broomfield is his sponsor. So now what is Dominic going to look for? He's going to look for the last person that he enrolled. In this case, we're going to scroll down and we're going to look for his last generation 1 enrollment. And we see that that's Ricky Tate. So this is going to be the next available position that he's going to place his new brand partner. We're disregarding all these other names and just navigating to the very end of his line 2. Now, here's where it can get confusing, as I just showed you with Micah and Henry. As he places him here, you might assume that that is now going to benefit Ricky Tate. Well, you wouldn't be wrong, because wherever Dominique places someone, whatever he puts in the system, it's automatically going to benefit those that are above that person. Here, Ricky Tate has not yet enrolled anyone because he's brand new in the system. So once Dominic places his person in this position, this is going to build out Ricky Tate's power line or pay line. We won't really know what that line will be for Ricky Tate until he enrolls more people and begins to build it out, just like Shayla Motley has begun to do here. We can see that she's already building out a power line, and if she wanted to start building out her pay line, she could do that by starting to place people on line 2. That's going to be the same for Ricky. What you need to know is placing this person at the end doesn't mean they go under him. They're still following your pay line. If he wanted to place this person on his power line, we would scroll over to his line 1, the very end, and he's going to navigate down to the end of his power line and place that person here. If he were to place that person in line 2, that's going to be building out this person. Well, we want to build out his power line under him directly. So we're going to place that person here. So as you can see, you're pretty much navigating to the end of either your power line or your pay line, and you're determining where you want to place that person. So if we scroll back over all the way to the end of his line 2 and we select this number, what we're going to do is populate that in the system, and it's going to automatically populate that in that enrollment field. So that's a brief overview of how to navigate to where you want to place. Of course, there are a ton of other strategies. Of course, there are other things that you can do in this back office. But for now, I hope this has been helpful in terms of helping you understand how to navigate through your power line, your pay line, understanding that it's still under you, although it may look like it's under another person, and knowing whether or not you want to populate them to your power line or your pay line. Again, there's going to be many other extensive tutorials on this very subject because there are a lot of different strategies, as we said at the top of this video, for how to place people on your tree, such as if you wanted to help another person in your downline. We're going to be getting into all of that. But for now, I hope this has helped you with placement. Obviously, if you have any questions, you can contact me directly or contact your direct sponsor, and we'll make sure that we get those questions answered. Have a good day, everyone. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching this presentation. Again, if you have any questions or if there's additional information you need, don't hesitate to reach out to myself, any one of the team leaders, or your sponsor to make sure that we get you that information. Have a blessed day, everyone.